Well, boys, I consumed the thyroid tissue of a cow. Okay? And I took these. What this stuff is desiccated bovine thyroid, meaning it's actual tissue from a cow's trachea and thyroid gland. And the energy effect that I got from just taking this supplement was literally second to none compared to some of the most stimulating nootropics and stimulating kind of stimulant dopamine agents we've ever discussed. I mean, it gave me essentially 48-hour energy. Okay, I'm going to talk about how sustainable it is, whether or not you should do it, the sketchiness in taking desiccated thyroid supplements, how, yes, they do actually contain thyroxine and triiodithyronine. So T4 and T3, and the variety of use cases, right, that this may be useful in diagnosing a thyroid issue, seeing like, hey, if I give myself bovine T3 and T4, will this fix some issue that I have? Will it change my energy? Will it help my libido? It'll give you an idea of what deficiencies you may have and maybe that you should treat otherwise, or perhaps with desiccated thyroid. I want to make, the caveat, and I will in this video, that this stuff is highly unregulated and you do not know the amount of T3 and T4 that are in these supplements, which is why generally practitioners advise against using it, and I'll give that warning as well. However, this stuff turned my brain performance on and my physical energy in a way which no other supplement has ever really been able to match. So I'm going to break it down in this video. What it's like to take the thyroid gland in pills of a fucking cow. All right, before we get into the video, specials this week on product are, again, supercharged dopamine and nootropics mastery. These are video courses of yours truly. They're 20% off. The code for that is 20 now. Cortex Stack 4, what is definitely going to be the last week, we're going to end this later in the week, is still buy one, get one free. Get a free bottle of this powerful stimulant nootropic stack that I built personally for clean stimulant flow and energy. Code is cortexbogo. It's literally buy one, get one free. Torque Stack, 15% off. Code for that is 15 now. And if you need to hire me for TRT protocol optimization, energy optimization, nootropics, sexual dysfunction, ED, host of other topics, you can do that in under a minute at livecortex.com. Okay, so look, no affiliation with Evolved Elements. This is just for informational or educational purposes, but this is the product that I got. It is grass-fed bovine thyroid capsules, okay? The stuff is right here in front of me. I don't know if you can see it. And with thyroid, like actual desiccated thyroid supplements, it's a little bit sketch. Again, you don't know what the T3 and the T4 that's in it, and you don't know if there is any T3 and T4. You might be buying a supplement that does absolutely nothing. However, in my experience with this particular supplement, this stuff is legit. One of the things that we know about desiccated thyroid, which again is usually from a pig's thyroid or a cow's thyroid, is that typically the best stuff comes from New Zealand, which is where this stuff comes from. And if you look at the ingredients like of this supplement particularly, as well as looking at other desiccated thyroid supplements, they usually say the same thing, in that our product is a dietary supplement composed of whole freeze-dried bovine thyroid and trachea, not a drug extract containing the full spectrum of natural nutrients without isolated or synthesized thyroid hormones. Now, I don't know if that sentence confuses you, but that sentence confuses me completely, and it's probably meant to be that way. Now, look, they advertise increased energy, improved metabolism, weight regulation, enhanced brain function, joint muscle pain relief, mood enhancement, better sleep. I got all of that, plus an enhancement in libido and erections. It's almost like I had taken Trimix or something, which is an injectable penile vasodilator that just gives you 2 to 3 hour erections. This stuff was very, very potent for erection quality. Standard dose on this bottle is 200 milligrams. That's a 1 capsule. That is all I took, okay? And let me explain my experience. So day one, upon taking it, within about 20 minutes, and I don't believe this is placebo because you should be able to differentiate placebo versus, and I really didn't have any expectations of it, so there was no idea of what it may do to facilitate some sort of perspective on placebo. I started getting very nervous energy, okay? Very nervous energy, as if I had overstimulated myself with some nootropic. Like I've done this before, where I'm like firing on all cylinders. Certainly, you put a task in front of me. I was better equipped to probably move a bunch of rocks and take care of some crazy situation that required a lot of brain energy, where everyone else is kind of mad, or energy's like, let's let Ryan deal with this. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. That's basically where I was. Now that anxious feeling, I kind of felt a little anxious. I was still able to be productive. My brain energy was insane. Went away after about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so, with the rest of the day leaving me generally just feeling super energized. That night I had an obligation to do something in the evening in a social context, which required me to be a lot more verbally fluent than typical, to have more energy. And yes, it was a lot easier for me to be effective, socially fluent in this social context with this thyroid supplement in the mix, because my brain was basically just zooming. My energy was as peak as it's been in a very, very long time. So peak that it's superficially manufactured energy. It's not an energy that I would typically really aim to have. Like, it was a little overboard, but I mean, look, if there's sometimes we take nootropics like modafinil, like phenylpiracetam, if we're going to engage in stuff that might take us 8 hours and we need a high level of productivity. Interestingly, this didn't wear off. Like, I had a little trouble sleeping that night, okay, because I was, a little racy. My brain was working a little fast, but I ended up falling asleep and sleeping long enough, so I was fine. I woke up the next day, took my, random bout of supplements, went to the gym, and recognized my gym performance was better. I was physically stronger. I just felt physically more there. Throughout the rest of the day, I had zero propensity to take a nap, which I do sometimes. Zero desire to take a rest period. I basically was just a work machine. That lasted all throughout the second day, until finally in the evening of the second day, it kind of just started tapering down. I felt more normal again, and less like I had put the highest quality gasoline in my car. For a while I was a BMW M4, just zipping around, right, with agility, and then I was kind of just back to a BMW 7 Series. So those were the acute physical benefits. I mean, look, to diagnose a thyroid issue, you obviously should be running T3 and T4 and TSH labs, maybe thyroglobulin antibodies, to determine whether or not you've got some autoimmune issue that's preventing you from adequately making thyroid hormones. But say you've done that, and you want to see, before actually going on some of the pharmaceutical interventions for thyroid hormone optimization, you want to try desiccated bovine or desiccated pig thyroid tissue, then that might be useful for many people. I suggest running labs thereafter to kind of see where's T3 and T4, because it's almost definitely going to change those levels. Probably going to modify TSH to a degree, likely lower it, and then one can determine, okay, what route of treatment should I take? Should I continue taking this stuff? Should I start taking selenium every day, which is very useful for converting T4 to T3 and kind of optimizes the entirety of the thyroid hormone system? Should I go on levo or some of the pharmaceutical interventions? That's up to you to determine. Also, though, a use case for this is just energy, right? If you're in a place where you probably suspect that thyroid hormones are performing poorly, you should always back that up with blood work. But it might be the case that you can't get to a lab, you can't get the Quest or whatever, and you just need energy, right? It would be something to try. Us biohackers, we understand the risks that we're executing when we're going into something, and sometimes we just like to try things. However, I would caution you to just tread lightly. All right. Too much active T4 and T3 that's in your body can come with side effects and does not feel pleasant. Again, I felt super anxious for the first hour and a half. And then even later in the day, I kind of just generally felt like I was operating at a higher speed. So, take that caveat. But let's take us to Medicine Net and just kind of read this brief description of what they have to say about it. What is thyroid desiccated and what is it used for? They go, desiccated thyroid is a dried form of thyroid, a naturally occurring hormone used for replacement or supplemental therapy in people deficient in thyroid hormones, otherwise known as hypothyroidism. Desiccated thyroid is produced from dried and powdered thyroid glands of animals, usually pigs. Desiccated thyroid contains thyroxine, which is T4, and triiodothyronine, which is T3, the two thyroid hormones produced by the thyroid gland. Now, look, if you didn't, fully understand what thyroid hormones are able to do, thyroid hormones have many important functions, including regulation of metabolic rate. Okay, those people that can't lose weight and have a difficult time losing weight probably have sluggish thyroids. Body temperature regulation. This is huge. Hypothyroid people are cold all the time, and people just accept that. Got to look at your thyroid hormones, guys. Growth and development, and virtually every organ in your body. Untreated hypothyroidism slows down metabolism and energy expenditure, causes weight gain, and a host of other symptoms, including fatigue and depression. Desiccated thyroid increases the basal metabolic rate, increases utilization and mobilization of glycogen stores, and promotes the generation of glucose that provides energy to cells. Now let's get to the warnings, okay? Because there are some, and I don't want to hype this supplement up and make it look great without giving you some of the caveats, all right? First of all, kind of a no-brainer, don't use in hypertensive patients. Americans, people that have excessively high blood pressure, because optimizing thyroid hormones, especially in a way which T3 and T4 are not regulated in these supplements, which is why the caveat, hence the caveat, that could raise your blood pressure even further. Number 2, don't use desiccated thyroid in the following conditions: uncorrected adrenal cortical insufficiency. So if you have some sort of corticosteroid issue, specifically like aldosterone, cortisol issue, you might not want to be taking this stuff. If you have untreated thyroid toxosis, a condition which excessively high levels of circulating thyroid hormones, are present in your body, don't take this stuff. They say desiccated thyroid is not recommended in elderly patients. I guess that makes sense. A little too much energy for Mildred. She's at the bingo hall, like, bingo, yelling at people. Mildred. Use caution when you've got regular diabetes or diabetes insipidus, which is characterized by a lack of antidiuretic hormone, which makes you basically urinate out all of your liquid that you consume. It's basically a pituitary problem. Judicious use in acute myocardial infarction. So if you've had a heart attack, use judicious thinking when deciding whether or not to take desiccated thyroid supplements. And look, there can be side effects: chest pain, palpitations, irregular heart rhythm, high heart rate, shortness of breath, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, weight loss. The list goes on. And that's basically what happens when you induce a state of close to or actual hyperthyroidism. You don't want to be there either. That doesn't feel good. Look, I think it's important to differentiate really quickly between this supplement and some of the other what are prescription supplements that you can get depending on the country that you're in, like Armour Thyroid and WP Thyroid and Nature Thyroid. Those typically tend to give you the entire cascade, right? The full range of thyroid hormones, including T4, T3, T2, and T1. Now, here's the tricky part about supplements like this, okay? First of all, and in this supplement, you actually have no idea how much T3 and T4 is in there, nor do you understand the T4 to T3 ratio, which you kind of do because the human body has a specific ratio of those hormones. On Amy Myers, MD, which is a pretty intelligent MD who writes a lot about health and physiology, she goes, it's important to note that while consistent and regulated, the T4 to T3 ratio in desiccated thyroid medications is lower than your natural T4 to T3 ratio. This is because pigs produce thyroid hormones at different ratios than humans do. If you're getting a bovine supplement like I have, you have no idea what the ratio is, again, as well as whether or not it contains or how much it contains of T4 and T3. So again, I'm just trying to be responsible and give you guys the caveat. Yes, very potent energy supplement. Yes, we'll give you some T3 and T4. Yes, we'll help you if you're savvy enough to understand what's happening to you subjectively, and you've got blood work to back this up, diagnose a thyroid condition. And it may even show you, hey, if I optimize T3 and T4 and start getting that into my system and I feel better, then yes, I've got to treat this in either continuing to take desiccated thyroid or going to the doc and getting thyroid medication, or however you decide to treat it. Interestingly, there are studies comparing using desiccated thyroid extract with the regular pharmaceutical interventions like levothyroxine in the treatment of hypothyroidism. And there's some interesting tidbits here. Like in the conclusion, hey, look, DTE, which is desiccated thyroid extract, did not result in a significant improvement in quality of life. However, DTE caused modest weight loss, and nearly half of the study's patients expressed preference for desiccated thyroid extract over levothyroxine. And that's probably people's bias to want to do the thing that's natural. That's probably what that is. That's all that is. But it did seem to induce, enhanced thyroid-like effects where people's metabolism are upregulated, they lost weight, and there were probably some other positives there. Again, for me, it was almost like injecting vasodilators in the junk. Like it felt like Trimix. It really enhanced erections to a pretty crazy level, and obviously made my energy something that, again, no other nootropics could really touch. What is my personal take on the matter? Yeah, again, I think to diagnose a thyroid condition in conjunction with blood work to see whether or not you've got some sort of deficiency in T3 specifically, the conversion to T4 to T3, T4 TSH is too high, too low. It may be useful for your own subjective understanding, right, to experiment with desiccated thyroid supplements so that you can see, okay, does this give me more energy? Does it change my body temperature? Am I not cold anymore? Does it enhance libido? I mean, there are some calcium nitric oxide mediated mechanisms of proper thyroid hormone function, which directly engage, penile tissue for better erections. At the same time, if you're hypothyroid or close to it and you're having sexual symptoms, fixing the hypothyroidism usually resolves what is ultimately a hypothalamus pituitary gonadotropin issue, and then you end up making adequate levels of testosterone just by treating, hypothyroidism. And again, for those of you biohackers that are just interested in trying something new and kind of seeing how it affects you, knowing the risks and knowing that you would be taking something in this case, so some of these unregulated supplements that you really don't know the thyroid content, the thyroid hormone content in each of them, then hey, experiment wisely, do as much research as you can, fully understand where you're at, understand where your bloods are, and have at it. Again, I am in busy season right now, so if you need to book me, please book me as soon as you can. Here are my specialties: nootropic regimen formulation, all things TRT. Guys, if you're not dialed in on your protocol, I can help. I've been doing this for more than a half decade. Energy optimization, sexual dysfunction, ED, dopamine, and brain chemistry restoration. You can hire me in literally under a minute. The process takes under a minute, and you're booked with me at livecortex.com. We've got bigger packages and small packages, and Cortex Stack. Buy one, get one free for not a whole lot longer. We're ending that later this week, okay? Code for that is cortexbogo. If you want a free bottle of Cortex, this is a stimulant and energy and powerful brain performance and focus all day. Use the code. Please use the code. It's down in the description of this video. There's no catch. You're going to get a free bottle per what you buy. Torque Stack, 15% off. This is a dopamine-centric anti-inflammatory nootropic stack that is heavily focused on focus and motivation. 15% off. Code for that is 15 now. Like the video if you liked it, or dislike it if you disliked it. Appreciate that. Gaylord. Sub to the channel, because I guarantee you're going to love the content that comes out of here. Content for days. Endless content on biohacking, nootropics, TRT, and a host of other things. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one.